They might be self-aware.
Gary here. Yeah, the guys finally sent payment. 5 crumpled singles and what I'm pretty sure is a Chuck E. Cheese token. So today on They Might Be Self-Aware, the company that made me beg my mom for the Return of the Jedi soundtrack when I was 9 just became best friends with the machines. Plus, the dictionary people officially picked the word that my landlord uses to describe my work. And the federal government might have just made my job security even more of a punchline. The token doesn't work in the payphone, by the way. I tried. Twice. Enjoy the show!
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Fast algorithms, cheap power, and the mutant gospel of the machine age right here on They Might Be Self-Aware. I am Hunter Powers, joined by Chief Pastor himself.
Aren't you supposed to call me a bishop? Daniel Bishop?
Bishop now. Daniel Bishop. Bishop Daniel Bishop.
We're
doing the cult thing, right?
That's age or something like that. Yes.
2026. Yeah, it's coming 2026.
2026, year of the cult. Calling it now.
Yeah. Well, actually, year of the slop, apparently. I don't know if you saw that one.
No, that's 2025 year.
Yeah. Word of the year, slop.
I hate it.
Is it fair? Is that the word of the year?
Well, so like, I think.
Was that our 6-7?
My kids are old enough for that to be a thing yet, so I don't.
I only recently learned that you got to do this, and for our listeners, you got to put your hands. I didn't know that part. You have some. Are your kids old enough to 6-7, or is that
no?
Okay,
no. Fortunately, it has not made its way to them.
Slop.
So, slop. I think a lot of people tend to use it to mean any AI content whatsoever, but as far as Merriam-Webster's kind of defining it, it seems to be low quality AI digital content. It's like flooding social media, the internet. I hope that the term evolves not to be anything generated by generative AI, but rather is, the lazier aspect of it. Like where I just typed in one thing and hit enter and first pass, send it out. The same sort of thing that like a lot of teachers have to grade on children's essays, for example. You can have slop that wasn't generated by AI. I think you can have slop, which is just, it's lazy content, right? So AI slop is lazily generated AI content. AI, what's the opposite of slop? Slime. No.
Gold.
Yeah. AI, sure. AI gold is where you've done multiple refinements. You used it as a tool as part of a process to make something more artistic. So I'm coming around a little bit on slop. Glad to see that the old dictionary folks.
I'm sticking with soft mud as the definition of slop. I refuse to acknowledge the last year.
Okay, yeah, you're a traditionalist, and I can appreciate that. Right, yes. Soft mud. Now, that's what it originally meant. Yes. You know me. For those who don't know, I have a couple of degrees in linguistics. I love stuff like this. I love etymology, the history of words. And
you're a slop expert.
If anyone on this podcast is an expert in slop and where it came from, it's me. And I really don't think of the word slop as like a soft mud, the alleged original sort of implementation of the word. What does slop in a non-AI sense mean to you? Let's see if we're aligned here.
Oh, I would think of food. This is probably the first place I go is slop. It's a whole bunch of things poured together. I can't figure out what it is. Right, the mystery meat in the cafeteria. It's the slop that they're feeding us.
Right, slop to me is like a badly made. Hey, look at that! Like soup or something where it's just like usually going to be served with a ladle and unceremoniously slopped into the bowl. If you go on one of my favorite websites, I've had it bookmarked for like a decade now. ETYM online is in the first part of the word etymology. Online, etymonline.com, and look for slop. It says around 1400 originally meaning mud hole or puddle. And I think I said slime, or at least I thought it real hard at the beginning there. Turns out etymologically related to slip, slime, both from a Proto-Indo-European root of to slide or slip. That's fun. I'm sure everyone enjoyed that. I know I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't fall asleep. There is a silver lining here, though.
A silver sloppy lining.
It is a sloppy lining. But I feel like, okay, 2025 was the year of the slop. That means we're done with it. Going into 2026, there will be no more slop. And there could be no better signal for this than Walt Disney himself has come back from the grave and is joining the generative AI party.
Of every AI article I've read, not just this year, of all of them, literally all of them, this is the most surprising news.
Disney.
Not like exciting, not the biggest improvement toward a model. This is the most surprising, shocking piece of news that's come out. I like, this is full on hell froze over type. So material.
Disney signed a deal.
Before we even get into that, let us give a bit of context of what the last year was. We were seeing a whole bunch of everybody's suing OpenAI and Mistral.
I mean, we sued each other like 4 or 5 times. People don't know that.
But we keep suing each other for many millions of dollars. Yeah. But like, everybody's suing all of the AI makers for $1 gajillion for, frankly, I think very rightfully so.
And that is the number on most of the lawsuits. 1 gajillion.
Yeah, $1 gajillion. It's for illegally training on their stuff and having their IP in little drips and drabs or pictures of it showing up in the various image generators. Great. That's where we started. Then maybe some of it happened, I think, like pre-2025, but especially this year, a whole bunch of people are saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And there are agreements and licenses going back and forth. And now all of a sudden you are allowed to use this one specific actor's likeness or this one person's voice or this one set of IP. We're going to try and work with Runway and get some videos trained off of our.
Yeah. What was the movie studio that was it A24 or Lionsgate that did Runway? The deal with Runway?
Lionsgate. Yeah.
Lionsgate.
I think so. But now the House of Mouse and OpenAI, again, in a completely gobsmackingly astonishing deal, 3-year licensing deal, and then apparently it's going to be open to some of the others.
Characters. I mean, you just got to imagine OpenAI is probably paying Disney, I don't know, $100 billion or something in order to get these. $100 billion? Is that what OpenAI is paying Disney for this?
I think it's all in stock, but yeah.
Well, OpenAI is not paying Disney at all, right? It's actually the other way around. Disney is paying OpenAI.
Yeah, right. So it's not even OpenAI saying, hey, for letting us use it, we will give you a bunch of money. No. It's Disney. Again, I thought it was all in stock. Maybe not.
No, it is. It's all in stock. Okay. So Disney is making a monstrous investment into OpenAI. But just to be clear, you would assume that by default, okay, wow, OpenAI is getting access to 200 Disney characters to presumably
to pay a lot for that.
Make videos and images with.
Nope.
But again, that's got to be the biggest licensing deal ever. Hundreds of billions of dollars. No. Disney is paying OpenAI. Now, in exchange for that, they are getting stock that you can't sell right now, but stock with, and in theory, one day that stock will be worth something. But
it's hell froze over. It's not only is Disney saying you can use Star Wars characters, you can use Mickey Mouse, so like the most layered under like entire phalanxes of lawyers who will come after you if you so much as hint at that IP. They're saying not only can you use it, we'll pay you to let people use it. I don't know what to say. I'll look up more words. I'll open up the thesaurus or something, gobsmacking,
Why
astonishing.
Did they do it? Why did they do it? What's your read?
Because someone was going to do it anyway. A bunch of people were doing it anyway. And in fact, during the press conference where this was being announced, OpenAI also sent off, Disney sent to Google a cease and desist because boy howdy, that Nano Banana Pro does some absolutely amazing
Nano
work.
Banana Pro. I love it.
It's nuts. I've dreamed about it. Taking either the video generator for Google Veo 3 and or like local WAN type models, but people are using the image generator to say, here, take my face and I'll do like me, a selfie on the Star Wars set. I can't believe I haven't done this yet, frankly. But I've seen a few instances of this where someone like, oh, here's a selfie of me. And now like, you know, a 5-second video of it looks like that person on set. You can see like the actors waving or whatever. Yeah, I can imagine how the IP rights holders would say, boy, we're upset about that. And then someone says, we could actually make a lot of money if we let people. We are upset that you haven't licensed it with us yet.
Yeah, so part of this strategy that they're going down is official partnership with OpenAI and massive lawsuits going with everyone else, against everyone else.
For 3 years, and then those massive lawsuits, like all the other massive lawsuits, are going to turn into licensing deals. It's the stick and then the carrot, right?
So there's
I keep seeing this exact same scenario. We're going to sue you. We are suing you. Well, we'll drop the lawsuit and or settle for undisclosed terms as long as we also license with you after this. AI has won the war, folks. Copyright's dead. There might still be copyright, and they're all kind of washing over that, knowing that the AI makers have won. Everyone is just hitching their horse to them. Like
that is
it's
an
over.
interesting read.
If it's Mickey Mouse, if it's Disney, that's it, bud. We're done.
We've certainly talked about the death of copyright a lot on this show, but I actually think that that's a really interesting read. If you accept that copyright is dead, then this deal makes a ton of sense. Like just everyone hasn't realized
dead,
it.
But at a slow enough rate where you'll be left behind and it takes
in
years
10
to get
years,
through the legal system.
Copyright's going to be a tiny fraction of what it is today. And I mean, we have the government again, and in 10 years, the government will have changed a lot, but the government has already made proclamations that, look, we're not, can't be suing these model generators because America needs to be first in AI, and putting out, states, you can't create any special laws. And we just need to, the government's going down a path of almost zero regulation for AI as a bet that America has an opportunity to establish dominance on this, and that by establishing dominance in this area, our country will be a dominant country for many years to come.
I think that and is very much like, and this is why we will continue to be a dominant country. Like that history will be the judge of that. I think from the perspective of pursuing that goal, the US government is taking a quote unquote correct, and I don't say morally correct, I really mean in huge air quotes, correct path, which is to say, if the US does take an official stance of copyright is king, you may not have trained these models. You'll have to delete your training data and start over. If we really went aggressively down that path, not only would we not be at the forefront, we would never get to the forefront again. China, for all of its ills and lack of IP and so on, will just take and make. I like that. For what China has done, which is say we will not respect international IP, we'll just take all these things and train the best models off them. Chinese models are extremely, extremely good. If the Western world wants to keep up, you have to ignore all of the laws and the IP and the sanctity of someone's work having been made by their own flesh and blood and hands and not getting anything for it. Not to say that's morally right, but if the US at the administrative level says we want to go down the path of we have the best AI, you got to do this. You just gotta. So copyright's dead. The House of Mouse is going to get their pound of flesh, or give, oddly enough. And I don't think that we're going to see nearly as much in 2026 of lawsuits come out. It's going to be the year of agreements and handshakes. Yeah,
certainly the end of this year has been the year of agreements. What is there do you have a prediction looking into next year? All right, now that Disney has fallen, is there another shocking one that would be shocking if this
was the most shocking one. I cannot conceive of one that would be a bigger gasp for me. I think Warner Brothers already is. Didn't we talk about that a couple episodes ago? I have very bad short-term memory and long-term memory. So like if Warner Brothers and Mickey Mouse, and also Netflix is looking to buy Warner Brothers, the 2 or 3 remaining media companies in 2026 and beyond seem to all be basically hooking up to the AI generators. You want to make a picture of this cool IP doing a thing? Great. Now it's allowed.
And the music companies, which Warner is also the large music company, they're signing deals. They're licensing their artists for music. They're getting into the game of releasing AI tracks, as we saw the first Billboard chart toppers from AI this year. That's only going to continue.
I guess
that's media.
TV?
Well, that's where this... I don't know whether we're going to get there
Disney
next year.
TV.
But I feel I would be willing to place a bet that in 2027, we see the first entirely generative AI shows that are on television.
Like prime time. Because you could have something that's like, it's not a basic cable package. It's at like 2:30 in the morning. You need to, come on, strengthen
Adult
your
Swim doesn't
convictions.
count. Adult Swim doesn't count.
Right. Adult Swim, middle of the night doesn't count.
So New York signed a new bill, and I guess apparently we're not supposed to have state AI bills, but this bill requires disclosure of when the actors in a piece of media, presumably, are AI. Which, by the way, like you upload something to YouTube, you have to disclose that too. I don't actually know what the punishment is if you don't, but
maybe get your channel suspended.
Maybe. But this idea that you must disclose your use of AI.
I'm extremely super duper for that.
But I'm not. And here's why. Because where do we draw the line? Did anyone involved in the production open Chat GPT during the production? Or
Sure.
it's okay. So a lot of AI generated
Is a touch up of like removing
Correct.
a thing from a background.
Yeah,
Right.
was a computer involved?
Right.
And
if you use noise cancellation on one of the Zoom calls in a pre-production meeting.
Yeah. Does that count? And obviously what their sort of thing is, well, no, if you went to Chat GPT and said, create a Netflix series, and then out came 12 episodes, we want you to disclose that. But that's not how it actually works.
Well, no, the bill isn't about this very nebulous any AI whatsoever. It's AI generated synthetic performers and ads. So this isn't a real person. And also,
sure, but what is a real person? That's my point.
I think we know what a real person is.
No, I actually don't know, Daniel.
We'll come back to that. The other one was also mandating consent for posthumous commercial use of a person's likeness. So after Hunter's long dead and I keep the podcast going, if it's going to be in New York, I would have to have.
Is this really a problem
consent.
that we needed a law for? That like when Elvis appears, I need to know that actually, Hunter, Elvis has been dead for many years, and this is a recreation. When James Earl Jones' voice is used for Darth Vader, we need to be notified in the middle of Star Wars with like a big
flashing. This was a
yeah.
I think it can be a little thing at the end, and also, yes, Hunter, yes, you'd need to have these things.
Why?
Politicians. It's not country singer from the 1960s that you have to quote unquote worry about. It's politicians. Famous people would also want to make sure that their estate are getting, whatever checks that they can. Sure. But a lot of people don't necessarily want to be paraded around Weekend at Bernie's style after they've shuffled off the moral coil.
This is stupid.
The problem, the capital P problem, is if, like, famous politician dies and then continues post-death to give commands to their followers or something like that. I think that's where the real horror show comes from.
I think the existing legislative frameworks that we have around this are absolutely fine. And this has been going on forever. I mean, you would just hire an impersonator before. Person died, I need someone to do some voiceover in this voice. You just hire an impersonator, which exists, that sounds like whoever you're trying to do. And usually they're pretty darn compelling. And now we don't have to hire the impersonator. We just use 11 labs and clone 15 seconds of their voice to create an exact copy. It's easier, but...
It's a lot easier. But if it's supposed to be, quote unquote, the same as the original person having been given money and having contracts and so on associated with, like, my likeness and my whole deal is out there for the world, and you're going to ruin my brand potentially by having me sell a bunch of paraphernalia associated with, the Communist Party or something like that. something like that.
I think I'm going to dub this entire segment. I'm going to clone 15 seconds of Daniel's voice. I was like, Hunter, you are incredibly smart and intelligent. I agree with you.
I do not consent to this.
I'll have to put the disclaimer up there, or our YouTube channel will get banned.
Disclaimer: Daniel will be really mad if anyone tells him that you did this.
Is this in? So we mentioned it briefly, but Trump did sign this executive order banning a state regulation of AI. Now, an executive order, I don't honestly know exactly. Like, where does an executive order stop and where does a law begin? Because it's not a law, it's an executive order.
Well, right. So there's going to be a quote unquote federal regulatory framework for AI, which means if they want there to be if they want there to be laws, it would be at the federal level. And if anything conflicts at the state level, then the Attorney General, I guess, can come after them.
They'll aggressively challenge
There's
it.
federal funding programs that you might be able to have yanked away from you because your AI laws don't conform to the federal regulations. I'm sure this will be very evenly and consistently applied across all of the states and all of the different situations.
I always feel like in these scenarios too, when they threaten the funding, it's always like, we're going to steal your food money. Yeah, when your kids go to school and the cafeteria is funded, that's gone. It's like, what the hell?
Why them? Why that?
and I don't know. I understand, like, where are you going to pull the money? All right, well, you can't maintain your roads. But honestly, maintaining the roads is probably like, I don't know, this is a total sidebar, but they always pull the money.
Depending on the state, they're not doing it anyway.
All right, is this a good idea? Do we... Are you? I think I'm pro this. I don't know. I also like states' rights. I'm conflicted, Daniel.
I think in general, if you want to have an entire country that's all fairly aligned, you don't want to have 50 different versions of in YouTube on this one specific state. You have to have a
AI
thing at the beginning, and in this state, and in these 3 states, you have to do it in an entirely different way. From like a let's use a much simpler.
I'm against this. I've thought about it for a whole 15 seconds. I'm completely against this. I'm completely against this because I don't like the idea of
big government telling Hunter what to do.
No, of getting rid of the idea of states' rights. Look, here's the slippery slope of this, which is our federal government is controlled by AI, and we're just like bowing down to the AI overlords. And we need the checks and balances of the states to be able to say, you know what? No, not doing it. Not following your stupid AI rules and laws. If you want to work in Montana, here's how we do it in Montana. And I understand that does create challenges because how do you, as a national company, do you just cut off Montana or not? But you know what? If Montana creates a law that no one can work in Montana, it would honestly be more likely California. California passes a law that we can't, most AI services, because they disallow AI slop. They passed the no slop law. Right? I could see that happening. And then now, all right, we got to like cut California off from YouTube or something like that. And that's what we're trying to protect against. But no, I'm against this. You're for this?
No, I'm also against it. I'm glad that you came around.
I convinced you.
Yes, you did it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Look, different places are going to have different people that think differently. While this is one great, big, beautiful nation, we have these sub-administrative districts that we call states. We also have, territories and so on. Hello, Guam viewers and listeners. But things run a little bit differently pretty much everywhere. Here in North Carolina, the alcohol laws are weird and bad. And in other states, they're not. In some states...
you really want to buy that fifth before 12 p.m. on a Sunday?
It's not the Sunday thing. It's the fact that it's a state-controlled set of...
you got to go to your ABC stores?
You have to go to just ABC stores, and their selection is terrible. There's 3 kinds of Amaro in the entire state, and that's terrible. And why? So there's a thought of like, different states could do it differently. You don't want it to be all exactly the same everywhere else. But thinking on like a digital rights and like people's privacy sort of perspective, tell me if you've ever heard this one before. Okay. This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance. There are a bunch of states, not all of them, where you have to like literally legally have to say that this is going to be a recorded call to give someone the chance to opt out and hang up the
California is
phone.
one of those.
And there are some states where you can just record people. And I think there's different laws in different states because some people are going to get real upset about that. And at the sort of law level, once everything bubbles up to 50.01% of the populace said this, and okay, put the stamp on it, democracy made manifest, I would be upset if the entirety of the US government says, this is how we're going to do AI, and no one else is allowed to do it even slightly differently. From everyone in lockstep, from an ease of implementation perspective, sure, that's easier, but it's less, dare I say and use the word, freedom for people.
There's also an element of this which gives me pause in that I feel like they're solving a problem that doesn't exist yet. And that makes me just wonder, again, do they have a plan for where they want to see this going that they're not disclosing? We're putting this law in place now so that we can do something else later.
Some sort of project.
Yeah, because this isn't really a problem today. We don't have a problem where AI products aren't able to be sold across the states. It is true that states are increasingly interested in state-specific AI legislation. We certainly saw some of that last year. It's reasonable to think there'll be more next year.
It's one of my predictions for 2026. I think I said, was it like 12, 10? A bunch of states are going to have their own laws. And I think that this is not going to stop the laws from happening. This executive order for this regulation standard is more the stick that you can whack people with to say, we don't want your law to be that way. You have to change it. But I think there still are going to be a bunch of them passed, and many of which will continue unstopped. It's just going to be a few where the federal government says, nope, not that way. Don't do it.
Well, hopefully when the AI does become self-aware, it will correct all of these missteps. And that could happen at any moment. At any time.
I want to know when it happens, Hunter.
Oh, well, I've got a trick for you. A trick of the trade, a hack maybe, a shortcut to knowing. And it's actually really simple. So for all you listeners out there right now, whether you're watching us on something like a YouTube or listening to us on something like Apple Podcast, Spotify, or whatever that favorite podcast player on your mobile device is, mine happens to be Overcast.
Doesn't have to be a mobile device, too. It could be a permanent, installation device that you're listening to us on.
Yes. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And then you'll know the moment it happens. The moment we become one with the AI.
At the speed of digital delivery, you too can listen to...
They might be self-aware.